Perhaps you remember that delightful song from Fiddler on the Roof entitled, If I Were a Rich Man. If I were a rich man, all day long I'd biddy biddy bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. If I were a bitty bitty rich, diddle man. Sorry, I couldn't help that, but I just got started. Okay. So, well, a bit more on that in a moment. Our Torah portion this week is called Akev, which is found in the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 7, verse 12 through chapter 11, verse 25. And the title comes from the opening sentence of the portion, and it says, V'haya Akev tishma'un et hamishpatim ha'ela. And if you obey these rules. Well, the word Akev actually comes from the Hebrew word for that part of the foot that we call the heel. It literally means if you follow in the footsteps of or upon the heel of. In English, we would think of it as an action whose reward or consequence follows on the heels of another action. In this portion, we are reminded that we have responsibility to care for the most vulnerable members of society, the orphan, the widow, the stranger, and the poor. I know you've heard the rabbis and me say this many times, but it is true. As co-creators, as co-partners with God in this world, we are in fact the hands of God in creation. God has told us what God would do. By modeling our actions after God's expectations, we bring wholeness, completeness, fulfillment, all that is shalom, into the world. Through our actions, we emulate God in our care for the orphan, the widow, the stranger, and the poor, and always remember that once we too were, as the portion reminds us, strangers in a strange land. There's an old saying that goes like this: rich or poor, it's good to have money. But that is not enough. It seems that no matter how many resources are at our disposal, we could always use more. It puts me in mind of the opening lines by Tevye to the song we just sang just moments ago. Dear God, you made many, many poor people. I realize, of course, that it's no shame to be poor, but it's no great honor either. So, what would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune? If I were a rich man, well, anyway. So, unlike one of my favorite musicals, as you can tell. Unlike next week's portion, which focuses on our responsibilities toward the poor and the needy, this week's portion requires us to examine our own lives first and to avoid the dangers of prosperity. The Torah is quite explicit. We are not to forget our more humbling roots as slaves in Egypt, and that any recent material prosperity comes as a gift from God, not because we are such charming and wonderful individuals. The Torah states, and God humbled you and let you hunger and fed you with manna, which you knew not, neither did your fathers know, that God might make you know, ki lo al halechem levado yihiyeh ha'adam, that humankind does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Lord do we live. This is according to the Torah. Well, the very real and present danger is that we will believe that we deserve all of the credit for our successes, and in the process forget God and forget those with whom we share this world. As one rabbi recently stated, our people have long known that prosperity is a blessing, but we have also understood that it presents us with a spiritual challenge and a social responsibility. As the Torah teaches us this week, we did not earn most of the good we have in this world. It was given to us as a gift by God and made accessible to us through Torah-based traditional Jewish values passed down to us by our ancestors. We are to enjoy our gifts, but we are also have to thank the one who gave them by emulating God in sharing our blessings with others less fortunate than ourselves. As Moses told our ancestors, you shall eat and be satisfied. V'achalta v'savata uveirachta et Adonai Elohecha. You shall eat and be satisfied and bless the eternal your God for the good land which God has given you. It is due to these words of Torah that we have such a lengthy Birkat Hamazon, the blessing after the meal. These words say, first you shall eat, and then you shall be satisfied, and then, no longer distracted by our hungry, we are instructed to take our time and thank God for the food we have eaten and for the opportunity we confidently anticipate that in the future we will once again be able to eat until we're satisfied. Just like a loving parent that teaches their child, don't forget to say thank you, or in the words of the Birkat Hamazon itself, we thank you, God, for the gift of life, for the food we have eaten, for the nourishment you provide us all our days, whatever the season, whatever the time. I'm reminded in the words of Pirkei Avot, the saying of our fathers that say, Ve'ezehu ashir hasameach b'chelko. Who are rich? Those who are happy with what they have. As we move into this Shabbat, may we always remember to stop and say, thank you. Thank you to God for our prosperity, and thank you to those around us whose actions bring blessings into our lives, and let our actions toward others reflect our gratitude. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. And you know, when you stop to count the very real treasures, the magnificent blessings we experience in our lives, we really can say, yes, I am a rich man, all day long I biddy biddy bum, 'cause I am a wealthy man.